Are you ready to know exactly what to do on your first day of work? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the best practices that you can do as you get started, even if you had no experience at all. Let's say this is the first time that this is your first job, or that you've switched careers, you've switched jobs, or you've even just gotten promoted, whatever that looks like. These are my best practices for you so you can feel a little bit more confident on your first day. First thing is knowing where your basics are. Now, what I mean by this is knowing how to communicate with people, the tools that you'll be using, what are your tasks basically, what are your responsibilities, and then what are your priorities for the first 90 days. Now, this is coming from a lot of the books and a lot of the courses and a lot of the coaches that I follow myself on how to get started right off the get-go. So you need to know basically who's your point person, like who's the person you can ask questions, who's your manager, or who even is a teammate who might have the same work as you, who's been doing it for a while. So you can be a little bit of getting mentorship basically from them. You also want to know how often to communicate to your manager. Are there daily reports? Are there weekly reports? Are there monthly retrospectives? You also want to know when the team also has different meetings. So then of course you're making sure that you show up there in the best way possible. And you want to be more familiar with the responsibilities. Now, it might have been talked about in the first couple of interviews of like what would your day-to-day look like. So now it's actually putting it into action and getting familiar with what it is that you're going to be doing day to day and plotting out basically your first 90 days. And this is coming from the book First 90 Days, where you are going through the process of learning what it is like for you to do this actual role, this actual job, after going through so many interviews. So it's learning what are the things that are important for you to learn, contribute, and take initiative on as you go through the first couple of days. Now, on your first day, it'll be overwhelming, it'll be scary, it'll be like, oh my God, what am I doing? But it is by knowing what is expected from you that you can then kind of start rising up to that. Next is take notes of everything. Now, whether you are working on a work from home job or you have an office job, it's important to start just taking in the details of what the work looks like. This is why taking notes is important, because again, that overwhelm will come in and later on you'll forget like, oh, where's the company office at? Where's this policy posted? What is the policy for, if you need to take loans or take day offs? So it's important to kind of create, for me, I would honestly suggest you would create like a Notion page for yourself of like, hey, things I learned on day one, and then going ahead and writing down the things that you learn from different people, the people that you meet as well, who they are on the team, and then also learning kind of the company's vision, mission, as you absorb more and more of what it is that they do right on that first day. It's important that even before, hopefully, that you do your first day, is that you've done the research on the company, and that through the interviews you were able to get to know them, get to see what their culture is. But if you didn't, it is now to the point where you're just taking down notes, you're just learning all that you can as you get started. Next is that learn, contribute, initiate. So remember earlier I mentioned that in your first 90 days, you want to look at that. So for you, as you're learning a lot of the new skills, a lot of the new responsibilities, keep in mind those three things, and they do stack up. Is, for example, let's say you are working as a copywriter, you're learning their writing style, or you're learning what are the expectations, how fast do they want certain things from you. Then you are, as you're learning that, you're moving into contribute. You're starting to now give them your output, basically what it is that expected from you, and then you start to initiate. On the initiate side, you are now starting to notice patterns and how you can prevent problems from happening or solving them as you go through. So for example, let's say that you've learned to contribute, you know that you are expected to create an article a day, for example, and then your initiate is now you've started researching tools to make that a little bit easier. You've started suggesting things to get the brainstorming and draft portion of your job a little bit easier and faster. And this could be just from learning how other people in the team are doing it, as well as best practices from the industry that you are in. So whatever that looks like, just keep in mind the learn, contribute, and initiate, and they all stack up. So as you're learning, then you're supposed to contribute to kind of test yourself out. Then as you start learning the patterns, then you start initiating in whatever responsibility or task you're focused on. Next, and this is very, very, very highly recommended, ask questions. Now, what I mean by this is not just to ask questions of like, hey, where's the bathroom or where is this policy? It's also just kind of getting to know your coworkers and the work itself. So asking questions could be like, hey, how did this company start? Like, oh, hey, what's the next project they're working on within the next 90 days. So asking questions of like, hey, what do I do if XYZ happens? Like if I'm sick, if I'm doing this. It's kind of getting already kind of ahead of like, if you've been working in this company for 6 months to a year, what would be important things that you would know at that point, and then asking those questions. I understand that when it is your first day, when you are the newbie there, you might not have friends yet, that it can be very scary, and sometimes you will feel a little alone, and it's important to start establishing those connections even just by asking questions, because when you show that you are a little bit curious, that you are willing to take action on that curiosity as well, it'll give your employers, your managers a little bit of confidence that if something does go wrong, you're someone who will speak up rather than trudging through and trying to figure it out on your own and then failing on the side anyway. So again, ask questions and don't be afraid to bring things up as they come along. And of course, the best thing is to get to know your team. These are the people that you're going to be working with, whether you are working directly with a client or you have a team around you who's working for one client. It's important to kind of get to know the people that are around you so you can start learning their strengths and weaknesses. So it could be like, hey, teammate A is amazing when it comes to brainstorming. I want to have that chat with her. Or teammate B is amazing at detail. So when I'm finalizing what I'm trying to do, I'm going to work with them. So then you're starting to see the bits and pieces, the patterns basically with the people that you work with, so you can work with them the best. And as a bonus, ask for feedback. And this is not just for your first day, this is also for your first week, first month, every single month that you're there in that company. So then for you are always in this space where you can meet expectations as they come along. You're getting better and better at what it is that you do, and you're also learning from a lot of people who have already been where you are and have already figured it out for themselves. So then it doesn't have to be that scary and overwhelming for you. Now the first day is always scary for anyone, but know that the responsibility basically for knowing what it is that you're supposed to be doing is the responsibility for the employer, but the other side of it is for you to be able to tell them like, hey, I'm stuck. Hey, I don't know what this is. I don't know where this is. It's okay to admit that because you're learning. And then you start contributing, and then you start taking initiative on what it is that you're supposed to do. Now, if you guys liked this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below what are your first day tips. I would love to know so that everyone else can also read it through. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!